Hey, welcome to the first episode of Comedic Critics, a pop culture podcast where we're not just committed to our opinions, but also each other. I'm your host, Kevin Lau, and up next we have.
I'm Ryan Davis.
That's the intro for Ryan. Okay, yeah, my name is Zachary Wright.
You don't worry, we'll go into more details of the intros later. And by later, I mean now, because a little bit about myself, Kevin Lau. I'm a freelance writer and filmmaker. I've worked on various films and shows in Chicago and Illinois area, such as The Carbonaro Effect and Fargo. It's just some small little indie stuff you might not have heard about, little obscure. I'm also a film essayist at the website crprights.com. And I am even though I have all these quote unquote positions, I am currently unemployed because COVID sucks.
That's a big old ripping chat.
Yep.
What about you, Ryan? A little bit about yourself.
I'm Ryan Davis. I am a journalist, journalist and working in television mostly. So right now I'm just working as a director at a local news station. And I'm also a self-acclaimed Star Wars fanatic.
Oh, dear God.
Not sure if I get actual credentials for that, but
You have more credentials than me.
Are those good credentials?
Yeah, and for anyone, if you want to just start off the show hating my guts, I like the prequels better.
All right, well, boys, it was a good run. This podcast is now dead because Ryan led with that.
I'd like to thank our patrons for sponsoring us.
It's been a good run of about 3 minutes.
Nah, we gotta keep it raw, keep it real. But what about you, Zach?
I am currently a senior at SIU Carbondale. I'm studying radio, television, digital media, and also with a double major in cinematography. So basically, I'm going to college to waste my fucking time.
In this economy, yeah, you kind of are.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I'm trying to be a post-production specialist with videography and video editing and all that jazz. And I really enjoy movies, video games, television shows, stuff like that.
Nerd.
Wow.
And that's why you're editing this podcast.
Heck yeah, boy.
Get that experience in. Put it on your resume. So now we're going to go on to the first segment of the show where we talk about our individual experiences with pop culture. Like I said, this is a pop culture podcast where we just kind of have our opinions. We have our reviews and we are committed to them. These are the hills that we will die on.
I don't know I think we'll concede most hills, but
we'll concede some hills to each other because the only thing we're more committed to than pop culture is each other because we love each other that much. Friendship is the best ship that never sinks. So I'm gonna go ahead and go first with a little bit of what I've done recently in the past couple of weeks. So as some of you guys know, HBO Max released into the world.
Right.
It is fantastic in a library sense. For the actual functionality, it still needs a little bit more work. I still have problems with loading something using the app on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to constantly reset my phone. Seems to be like a common thing going on. It's not available on Roku yet, which is unfortunate. So there's some licensing things that maybe like HBO Max wasn't quite ready for.
Interesting.
But the library itself is amazing. There's so many classic movies on there from Warner Brothers in history. Every HBO show is on there. A lot of Cartoon Network selection is as well. Like the first thing, I looked at everything. Oh, it's got Criterion Collection remasters. It's got, this classic movie that I've been meaning to see because it's talked about in film school, but I never got around to watching it. It's got that one film I was shown in class but fell asleep through.
Right, yeah.
But so the first thing I picked, of course, was the Looney Tunes show.
Cinematic masterpiece.
Cinematic masterpiece, indeed.
Out of all the things you could have went with, Looney Tunes.
The Looney Tunes show, the one that aired from 2010 to 2014.
Heck yeah.
Classic.
It's have you guys seen it?
I have.
I have not seen it. I thought when you said Looney Tunes show, I thought it was a new thing they brought to HBO Max, and then you said no, it's been going till 2010 to 2014, and I'm like, oh.
No, so they did make a new one for the launch of HBO Max, which is actually pretty good.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, no, but then they have. Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, I have watched Looney Tunes show when it was on Cartoon Network.
It's like a more like a sitcom style Looney Tunes show, where it's like it's kind of like more like Seinfeld with Looney Tunes characters.
Yeah.
It's very like domesticated, but also has it's slapstick Looney Tunes moments.
Interesting.
The first season's a little rough, but then the second season they had to do like a major overhaul with the writing and like the character designs, and it's like works so much better now. And it's kind of sad that it ended with only 2 seasons because I really liked the show. There was I had some genuine laughs. I felt touched in the soul a couple times.
Did you cry?
I wanted to cry at the last episode.
Aw.
Kevin's just so unemotional.
Yeah, I know. But it's a great show. Actually, it's not like the best show I've ever seen. I give it a solid 4 out of 5. But that's one of the things I've seen this week. But I want to move on to give Ryan a chance to name something.
Real quick, can I ask Kevin a question real fast?
Yeah, what's up?
So, of all the things on HBO, how many things do you think you have watched since the beginning of it as it came out?
So I've watched the Looney Tunes show. I watched the new HBO Max Looney Tunes. I watched Infinity Train, which it was just like amazing. Watched that a couple times actually. Let's see. I watched Charlie Chaplin's The Kid from like 1929. I think that's when it came out, which was Charlie Chaplin's first like successful movie. And now I'm currently watching Sharp Objects, which was 2017, 2018 when it came out.
That's impressive considering it came out like a month ago.
Yeah, it actually has only been like a month. But yeah, no, I'm trying to like fit it in when I can. Like Infinity Train is like really short. It's only like 2 hours a season. And then like I just watched the Looney Tunes show. I would watch like 4 or 5 episodes a night on my phone, just laying in bed, just like laying down, watching it sideways. It's great.
Best way to watch shows.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Ryan. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, that's fine. I was actually curious too, but so I got the other streaming service that's controversial, not Disney, but DC Universe.
The two evils.
Ooh.
Yeah, we've been trying to figure out if I was gonna watch that. So today I watched the second season of Harley Quinn.
I just finished that on Friday.
I like it. It's, in my opinion, it has things that are better than the first season and things it doesn't do better. Because I liked the second season's a whole lot more. It knows what it wants to do with the show. It goes into a lot more craziness, but at the same time, it's more, I guess, plot driven this season.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the first season was more kind of like it had like an overarching plot, but it also had like a lot of comedy and just like random episodes, just like kind of jokey episodes.
Was it more character based in the first season?
Yeah, both seasons are more character based, but the first season was the kind of like vignettes that eventually led to a serialized ending.
Yeah, so I enjoyed the second season. The second season ending, I read reviews and a lot of people were like kind of conflicted on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can get why. It has a very conflicting ending, but in all, I enjoy it. It's good. Also 4 out of 5.
Right.
Because there were some things I didn't like. They did have one episode where they called out their own faults of the show.
Yeah, they get really meta sometimes. It's great. Like every time they make a pop culture reference, they also critique the pop culture.
Yeah.
And it's like so on point.
That's pretty cool. That's interesting, actually.
Yeah, no, it's a really great show. And I understand. I also have like mixed feelings about the final episode, but it's more like where they decided to start the last episode as opposed to where it ended. Like there's like a weird jump from the episode before the finale and then to the finale.
Like the second season, a lot of the episodes ended on big cliffhangers. Like it just like kind of left you in that kind of shock moment, like what, and then it would skip ahead a week.
Right. Yeah.
But still, I like how the episode was and how it progressed. And I really like the ending. It's a happy ending, and I love happy endings.
Yeah, I think it was pretty good. I definitely will recommend it. I say it's better than the Birds of Prey movie, which also stars Harley Quinn.
Birds of Prey was solid though.
Technically, I do think the Harley Quinn show is better than Birds of Prey, but I also really like Birds of Prey.
I mean, I can definitely see that.
I think Birds of Prey is good, but the Harley Quinn show, I think, did her character more justice and got its message across better.
I could see that, yeah, based on what you've told me.
Whereas Birds of Prey was kind of just in your face.
Yeah, the Birds of Prey was a little messy, but they didn't have much of a foundation to begin with.
Yeah. Well,
so I was giving a little bit of a pass on that. But the Harley Quinn show...
DCEU.
Yeah, they're doing something, all right.
You excited for the Schneider cut, Kevin?
I kind of am. Not gonna lie, like they released like.
But at what cost? What cost? everything.
It cost everything. It's gonna fanboys, toxic fanboys, are just gonna be even more toxic because now they're gonna feel like they actually have power, just like with Sonic redesign.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just gonna be like a weird. There's gonna be a weird power struggle going on.
Yeah.
With between content creators and their fans, and I'm not excited to see that. But what I am excited for is seeing the Snyder cut.
That's fair.
But yeah, so like the little clips that they had, that they showed, I was like, that wasn't that wasn't in the original theatrical cut, was looked really interesting, looked really good. And then like there's a lot of, I've been reading up a little bit more like how much content was actually changed for the theatrical cut, and it's like it looks like 70% of the movie was
I was
changed.
gonna say like sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Like that trailer that released on like Zack Snyder retweeted or whatever of like Wonder Woman sitting there staring at the picture of, I assume it was Darkseid.
Ooh.
That was super interesting because like the way it was set up, or what I've read from spoilers on internet, different podcasts, stuff like that, of how it was going to be, is very interesting. But I just don't know if they could have done it in a good way.
Right. And it's like it's gonna I was thinking it's gonna be the same quality as Batman versus Superman, which, you
Oh
know,
boy.
I yeah, Zach hates it. I really like it.
Okay, I don't hate it. I just have issues with it.
Right. I like it despite its flaws, but like
Yeah.
I think the theatrical cut is trash, but the director's cut is really good.
I also agree with that.
I don't think I've ever seen the director's cut.
It's a time and a half, I'll tell you that.
Oh boy.
Because I think it's like 3.5 hours.
Yeah, it is.
Oh god.
It gives more depth to the actual like movie though.
Right.
Like care about it because the theatrical cut is very slow, and even I'll admit that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a hard time admitting to bad movies.
Right, because the theatrical cut cuts out a lot of like character moments and some important plot elements too.
Right.
So that way it gets a little like watching the theatrical cut. It feels like it's dragging because it's taking away it's took away the substance of the scenes, whereas the director's cut adds the substance to the scene. So where it doesn't feel like it's dragging as much. It's still a long movie.
Yeah.
So it's like it's something you're gonna have to like, okay, I'm gonna put aside like half the day to watch this. But I'd say it's still worth your time to watch it at least once to give Batman versus Superman a fair shot.
Yeah.
And the way that it sounds like the Snyder cut's supposed to be for Justice League, it's like, Batman versus Superman, as I predicted was like half the story, and Justice League was the second half, where Darkseid comes in. It's gonna have Flash is gonna go back in time to Bruce Wayne in the Batcave. There's Lois is gonna have a bigger role in it. So it's a lot of people didn't like how Batman vs Superman was, how it felt like the first half of a story.
Yeah.
But I was all for it. Like I'm like, all right, let's make one huge narrative to get the Justice League together. I'm all for it. But we'll see how it turns out. But what about you, Zach? What have you been into?
So going back to what you said about how Harley Quinn season 2, how it what do you say it ends with not where you wanted it to end. Is that what you said, Kevin?
I said I liked it, like where it ended, like where the finale ended. Is like we're still waiting on the confirmation for season 3. But if it doesn't get picked up again, it's a solid ending. It's a happy ending. I like it. I do want more though. But there was a weird gap between the episode before the finale and where the finale started.
Yeah.
Interesting enough, that's how Last of Us Part 2 is.
Oh no.
Look at that segue. No, so I've been playing Last of Us Part 2, and it's solid. It's a very artistic game. I'm glad I played it. There are choices in there, like, I'm not gonna spoil anything for you guys, obviously, or for anyone listening.
Right.
But like, there are choices in the game that I really like, I really appreciate. And there are some narrative choices into the later half of the game where I'm like, okay, cool. And then it all boils back up to a point that was, so you start at one point, go up to point B, and then you go back to a different point A and go up to that same point B. It's these two characters coming to a convergence, basically. And then it's basically like a time jump to a PTSD, and then another time jump. And so it's kind of the last third act is kind of disjointed. I mean, I understand why it is, and when you play it, you'll understand like what I'm saying. But overall, it's like you don't want the main character to go back to these roots and go back and try and do that disjointed arc. So how it ended, I'm like, yeah, I understand you're beating me over head with the message. I get it, but it's so tastefully done. And like the fact that I'm saying that is the point they're trying to drive home in the game. They're like, yeah, of course, like that's what the point is. Like we're trying to beat you over the head that violence is bad, revenge is bad. And this character doing all of these things, while granted it isn't a disjointed segment, that's how it is. That's how the revenge can be done and stuff like that. So yeah, I am very glad I played it. I'm hoping this is the last game. I don't think we need a part 3. I don't think the story will be there for a part 3. I think where it ends is a good place.
Ellie dies?
No spoilers, but since there was a spoiler online about that, I will say no, Ellie does not die.
I will say they're gonna milk the hell out of that, though. I feel like that's what they're gonna do, especially.
What?
I disagree. I think that's what they do with Uncharted. And Neil Druckmann, who was the main writer for Last of Us 1, he's the one that came in and made Uncharted 4, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think since Sony milked the hell out of the Uncharted series, I don't think Neil Druckmann's going to want to milk the hell out of Last of Us. I don't think he'll make the story. I don't think he'll be the one putting the story for Last of Us Part 3, or if there's a Part 4, God forbid there's a Part 5, or anything stupid like that.
I don't know if they milked it. Like, I'll definitely say it kind of...
The Golden Abyss was milking it.
Right.
In my opinion, like, with Uncharted, they kind of just milked more the fact that the third game should not have existed. It should have just been the fourth game.
Right. That's what a lot of people's critiques about Uncharted. Like, whenever I was watching Last of Us reviews, people were always comparing to Uncharted because it's the same company, basically. And that's one of the things, like, different rankings of the Uncharted series and how, like, Uncharted 4 or Uncharted 2 are, like, the top ones, followed by 1 or the other ones, and 3 is always at the bottom.
Interesting. Because I've only played the first Uncharted and half the second one, so I still need to play through the whole series.
People are very different about Uncharted 2. They either love it or they hate it. There is no between.
I haven't heard a hate it for Uncharted 2.
Yeah, me either.
I've seen different rankings on Twitter, but I could just be in a different echo chamber.
Maybe. But what rating would you give Last of Us Part 2? How many zombie heads would you give it?
Zombie heads, infected heads, first of all.
Oh right, sorry. PC culture.
They call them infected, they're not zombies.
That's yeah.
Definitely see it's hard because I want to say 5 out of 5, but my gut reaction, because of how I feel about it, I have to give it a 4 out of 5 for it to be fair, because I would give the first Last of Us a 4 out of 5 too. Like, it's on the same pace as this first one. It's not better, it's not worse, it's just a different story and a different take on it. And I think it'll go down as the last Jedi of video games for a while.
Would you say, I know you were a big fan of God of War. Would you say this is better or worse than God of War?
God of War is more simple and has less complication and doesn't have different, like, overarching 2 different main character storylines, basically, like parallel storylines. I think God of War is easier to digest than Last of Us Part 2. That's why I said, like, Last of Us Part 2 is more of an art piece. God of War is just hands down a great game. I'd say I give the edge to God of War as a better game, even probably better than Last of Us Part 1, because it's it feels good when you catch the fucking axe for Kratos, stuff like that. It just feels good. And so, like, Last of Us, there are some clunky game mechanics. But yeah, so I think God of War is definitely better, but Last of Us Part 2 is kind of like, it's like the cinema of video games. Like, God of War is a good movie, like, kind of like Avengers, maybe even more like Dark Knight, probably. But, like, Last of Us is like Whiplash or indie film, kind of.
Yeah, so more abstract, focus on narrative drama and all that.
Yeah.
But I know there's, like, it plays with, like, moral ambiguity as well, where you have to choose between certain actions to take.
Right.
But I also know you have not played Walking Dead Telltale Season 1, which also plays around with moral ambiguity,
right? Yeah.
With the choice, it forces you to make choices. But I'm not going to tease you about it.
I was going to go back and say that, like, the 2 parallel stories in Last of Us are the same stories, just at different points in time. And so it's going back and connecting those points and showing how these 2 characters are kind of the same.
I'm not sure what Ryan would agree, but I do suggest you try out Walking Dead season 1. Just the first season. You don't have to go beyond that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree. There are a lot of video games I need to play and a lot of different TV shows and movies, and my list is just ridiculous. Like these things I have to catch up on.
Right.
I have to watch New Girl right now. I have to watch Fullmetal Alchemist, which we'll get into in a couple minutes. But oh my god, you need to play this unquote list is just ridiculous.
Don't forget Kingdom Hearts too.
Kingdom Hearts is on there. I'm slowly chipping away at that behemoth.
I can't wait for that rhythm game.
Don't get me started on that. I had to download the mobile game because apparently that matters to the story.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know.
The trailer for the rhythm game is hilarious though. It's just like it just starts off as like a standard like you're like, oh, this is like some cheap cash grab game. And then like the trailer glitches like the last third of it and it becomes like a very story based trailer.
Yeah, that's what they usually do with their games. That they'll make it like, oh yeah, this doesn't really seem like it's gonna be important. And then it turns out, no, this is a whole extra meat to the plot, so we can keep stalling until the next big installment. Hence why 3 took so long to get here.
They always get you in the first half.
They had us in the first half. I'm not gonna
I'm too dedicated now to give up.
Kingdom Hearts is a discussion for another time, though. I'm sure we'll have a whole episode dedicated to that.
I'll have a whole like dissertation on it whenever I play it.
Kevin will have a whole dissertation on why he hates a coconut because of this game.
I can just write that right now because I've already experienced that part. It's like, this is why the coconut tree is the worst mechanic in the game. And it happens 10 minutes in. Man, but I want to bring us to our next segment before we lose time about our collective experience. Because, like I said, we're not just committed to our opinions on media, we're committed to each other. And that includes forcing each other to watch certain things. Like, I am currently watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, thanks to Zach and Ryan. But Zach, what are you watching?
I'm watching Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, correct?
Correct.
Okay, cool. I'm watching Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, and so basically I have never watched an anime before, besides, I guess you count Avatar: Last Airbender as an anime, even though it premiered on Nickelodeon.
The constant debate of what is anime.
Anime, I find, is something like it's not a cartoon, but for lack of a better word, from Japanese culture, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Typically from Japanese culture.
Right. And it can be based off like a manga.
Yeah, they're usually in Japanese culture, like comics, which are called mangas,
Right.
are super popular over there.
Mhm.
Like they're printed in weekly magazines, like a new chapter every week. And so typically what comes over to America is shonen anime and manga. And shonen means for like from ages targeted towards ages 6 to 16 or 8 to 16, something like that. So that's mostly what we see because it's more like it's like a kid show here.
Right.
Which is like, oh, like they're just send it out overseas to get more money. And that's how it started off at first because America got some really crappy anime to start with. But then as in the age of the internet and social media and stuff like that, it became more there was more worldwide connectedness going on. So people were starting to share more of like what's popular in their country and all that stuff. So now we get even more anime. We get more better quality anime,
more adult anime at that too.
Yeah, more mature anime as well. So it's basically, I think right now, really, it's kind of like 1-to-1 as to like what releases in Japan and what releases in America.
Interesting.
Because there's Funimation gets most of the distribution for America, but there's also other like distribution companies that like dub it or at least subtitle the anime and release it online on their streaming service.
Right.
But Zach, where are you at in the show currently?
Okay, so I just finished episode 9 last night. I know I'm a little far behind compared to Kevin, where he is an Avatar. We were originally supposed to be like on the same episode as each person was, but I fell behind because my girlfriend's making me watch New Girl, and so I have to go back and forth. So I finished episode 9 last night. That's where Scar just wakes up with the Ishval refugee.
Yeah.
And so I wrote a couple summaries for a couple of the episodes. Episode 1 I found to be a very good entry into the show, like showing the mechanics of alchemy, and it's very similar to like water bending and the bending types in Avatar: Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Just
right.
more complex, more not dastardly, but Jesus, the stuff they do later. Woohoo! So yeah, episode 1's really cool, and then episode 2 just hits you right in the freaking nards, bro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you see a corpse be brought back to life. That was wild. Spoilers, I guess, if we're doing spoilers. My bad.
I don't know. The show's been out for a while. It's fine.
Right. So yeah, the backstory is just dark, and it just adds like this gravitas and gravity to the situation of these two characters, Ed and Al. And it's Edward and Alphonse, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I just know by Ed and Al. It just shows how far they're willing to go, and like as people, how far they're willing to go to get to their goals. It adds more character, in my opinion, to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then while episode 2 hits you in the balls, episode 4 just takes your heart and does an Irish tap dance on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I almost stopped watching after this episode because I barely could get through it. It was pretty dark.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you believe the target audience is 14 and up?
Yeah, what the hell?
People in Japan have a very higher tolerance for violence, and they can stomach it a little bit better.
Right, I just sat through Last of Us Part 2, and nothing in that game made me question my moral ambiguity. This made me just sad.
Yeah, you should see the adult shows. Jesus.
You torture a lot of people in Last of Us Part 2, and I did not feel a single thing for those people. But Nina, I felt a lot for Nina.
Yep.
She was just an innocent child caught at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, I guess.
I was gonna say, is home really the wrong place at the wrong time?
Well, yeah, that's a solid point. Good point.
Had the wrong dad at the wrong lifetime.
And wrong mom, apparently. So now, like, episode 4, I understand the stakes of the world and how dark and what alchemy really is, because later on, in a couple episodes after that, you figure out that if you want to basically get their bodies back, they're going to sacrifice a human soul. So that's pretty cool.
Mm. Wait, so Zach, real quick, do you know what happened to Nina's mom?
It said in the episode that Nina, like, she was another experiment by the dad.
Yes. So I just want to make sure that like you understood that she didn't just like leave.
Oh no, she was transmuted into some freaking being that we don't know what was.
She was the first experiment that got the dad the license.
Yeah.
That's really, really sad and really, really dark. I wish you hadn't told me that.
Rip.
I knew she was turned to a beast. I didn't know it was the first one.
Yeah.
But now this isn't a game. Like, episode 1 kind of presented this as a fun, kind of like, oh, like, alchemy's fun. Yeah, no, it's not fun. It's dark, and I don't know why these people delve in it, because holy shit.
You want to know a fun fact, Zach?
Go ahead.
We did a little, I know we've done personality tests or whatever before.
Yeah.
And so apparently your Fullmetal Alchemist character would be Roy Mustang, the fire alchemist.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
I love Mustang. He's cool as hell.
Oh, he gets even better.
Heck yeah. Hawkeye is also really cool. I love Hawkeye. And Winry. Oh, great.
Yeah, the character development is great.
So after, like, Ed finds out what happened to Nina, he starts beating the ever-living crap out of the dad. I honestly wish Ed would have crossed that line and killed him, but I know that's not Ed's character.
Mm.
But these stakes are now set, and the growth of the brothers, especially for Ed, is shown by Ed was close, and if Al didn't stop him, it would have been over for the dad. But then Scar comes in later and blows him up, so I was cool with that.
Mm. Yeah, because like with Edward doesn't like want to kill because he's one of the good guys, and alchemy is about
right,
like what is the cost. The whole thing is like, what is the cost of the soul, and do we have any right to take souls?
Right, yeah. And I found Scar to be a really cool character, and the Ishvalans being a metaphor for I'm right when it's the Middle East, right? The war in the Middle East.
Yeah,
pretty much. Like it's not like a directly like anecdotal allegory of the Middle East, but like it's a pretty close representation of what the creator was trying to get across.
It's like a combination of the Middle East and also kind of Jewish culture.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, the manga was written over the course of 10 years, from like 2000 to 2010, I think.
Okay.
So it's just kind of like there's a lot that happened in those 10 years. So it's kind of like, it's not a straight allegory, but it's pretty close.
Consequential, yeah. After that, I'm not gonna lie. So Ed finds out the secret to human transmutation, which is human souls, and they find the 5th laboratory and get their ass handed to them by these two. Well, not really Al. Al holds his own, but I feel like anytime Ed gets in a fight, he just gets effed up.
Yeah.
It's the problems with being short.
He's a pretty much a badass most of the time, but like when he's in a fight, he cannot hold his own. Good lord.
And I believe you also got introduced to the homunculi.
The people that Al follows.
They're based off the 7 deadly sins.
Oh, that.
Oh, the 7 deadly sins?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have those. Yeah, I know them. Sorry, I just know you've referenced them as the 7 deadly sins before. That's why I was confused.
Yeah. They're just named after 7 deadly sins. They're actually just homunculi.
Gotcha. But yeah, I've seen them, and the one gave Ed back to Al after he fought those two other, what are they called when they're transmutated to like a piece of like an item, like Al is?
I just called the soul armor.
The soul armor? Okay, cool, soul armor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like soul bonding. I don't think there's actual name for it.
Okay, so yeah, they fight two of those soul bonded individuals, and then the one of the sins gives Ed back to Al, and it's like, here you go, like thanks, and then leaves. And then Al gets his mind rocked by the one soul being, and is like, you could be a puppet, like you don't know, like, your memories aren't real.
Mm-hmm.
And then Al turns back on him, and he's like, what about your memories? And then the other one is like, oh no, mine are real. And I'm like, all right, kind of weak. I mean, I get it, but like,
oh yeah, they do more.
pot calling kettle.
Yeah, they kind of do more with that later though. So
Okay. So it comes back then.
It comes back. It's kind of like it's planting the seeds in there. I mean, it's not going to be like a huge like revelation or anything.
Well, because in the next episode that like Ed and Al make up, and they're like, no, of course you're real, dude. I have a good brotherly moment.
Oh yeah, so okay, so you already saw the episode where like
Yeah, I
that
saw that
comes
episode,
back.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, so it's not like a huge revelation.
Okay, cool. So I'm glad that wasn't a plot arc, because I've been like, oh, really having this drama right now. But yeah, that was a good episode showing the brother dynamic and how they always fight, and introducing the Ed and Winry love. I assume that's gonna happen soon.
Soon.
It's developed over the course of the series, which I think is probably the most organic love story I've seen in a TV show.
Oh, it's so great. There's going to be a real awkward moment. Can't wait for you to see it.
Oh, great. Well, Al made a comment where it's like they fought one time. It's like, whoever wins gets to marry Winry, and Al's like, I won, but you didn't care. Or no, Winry shot me down.
Yep.
And I said, damn, that's rough, Al.
Yeah.
And then Scar wakes up in the Ishvalan refugee care.
Yep.
And that's where I'm at.
I'm just going to tell you now, the next, 3 episodes are just going to rock your world.
Great.
Actually, no, the very next episode is just going to rock your world.
Great.
But like, so you're like on episode 9 or 10-ish.
I'm starting 10. I just finished 9.
Okay. Gotcha. So the first season is 12 episodes. So that's kind of like the first 12 episodes of Brotherhood kind of recap the original series, which dragged on really long. Mm-hmm. So really trimmed the fat, went through the plot points a little bit faster just in case people were coming back from the original show.
Right.
So after these 12 episodes, the show's pacing gets a lot better.
Cool.
And smoother. There's a lot more like sitting on dramatic tension, and there's just a lot more that goes on, a lot more character development. It's you're not even at the tip of the iceberg, man.
Oh. I'm excited.
Just be grateful that you only had to spend 1 episode with Nina and not like 6.
Oh god, I would have cried. I probably could have finished it. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh well, the first show is so bad.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
The first half is like a really drawn out version of the first 12 episodes of Brotherhood, but then after that it deviates from the manga because the manga wasn't done at the time.
Oh no.
So they just like made up their own second half of the show, and
they Game of Thrones did basically.
Awful. They Game of Thrones did.
Oh god.
Maybe not as bad as Game of Thrones, but it still left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah. So what have you been doing, Kevin? Where are you at in Avatar: Last Airbender?
So this morning I just watched the Waterbending Master, so episode 18, I believe. So I have 2 episodes left of season 1.
Ooh.
So far, like, it's been a little bumpy ride getting here.
How do you like Master Paku?
Master Paku, that's the guy the mentor that trained him in this episode, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I knew he was going to be, well, spoilers.
A jackass.
Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't know he was going to be a jackass, but I knew he was going to be, when it was like, oh, like the woman like noticed Katara's necklace and recognized it. And like talked about how like a guy was left. It was like, it's Master Paku.
Yeah.
Like Master Paku was the guy. That's why he's a sexist pig. Because he got rejected by a girl. How about that? but overall, that episode itself I thought was really good and really well done. I liked Sokka's flirtation with the princess, and am interested to see how that goes.
It's rough, buddy.
I've seen the meme, so I kind of guess what's gonna happen.
Did you like that, Ryan?
Yeah, I heard it. I was cracking up over here.
I've seen the memes, so I kind of know what's gonna happen.
You know where it's going.
I just don't know how. I feel bad for Sokka though.
Wait, Kevin, I do have to ask. You never saw the last Airbender movie either?
So I did see the last Airbender movie.
Oh.
But I don't.
You and Jordan, what the hell?
But I have it, but like I don't remember. I only remember like a couple shots from it, cause so like a brief history of like why I haven't seen Avatar: The Last Airbender until now. 2005 when the show came out, that was when my parents cut cable, and I was only like 9 years old at the time.
Okay.
So like we were just it was just like a tough time in my family's life. We just had almost no money.
Understandable.
So like so TV was just kind of like not a thing at that time. I used that time to read a lot of books. So then later on down the road, once my family became much more financially stable, I was utilizing the library more for renting DVDs from the library. I was watching shows like Lost and all that stuff. I just never thought to go back to Avatar because it's just like I knew about it, I knew people liked it, but it wasn't like, something like, oh, this sounds great, I really want to watch it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, it's a thing that exists, I'll maybe get to it sometime.
It is my favorite cartoon or my favorite like childhood TV show probably ever.
That's a lot of like our generation.
Yeah.
Like it's like their first real show, I think that they watch. Well, that's my theory currently. More on that in a bit.
I agree. Yeah.
So like it wasn't until I went to the university with Ryan and a year later you, Zach.
Right.
That like the show started coming back on my radar, because Ryan would host the Avatar: The Last Airbender marathon in the hallways or in his dorm.
Right. And
so like I would sat in and watch like 2 episodes, but they were both fillers. So I was like, maybe the show isn't for me. So I just walked out. Then I watched like the end, and I didn't watch any of Legend of Korra, but I watched like the last episode. Like that's the only episode I've seen. So I know how Legend of Korra ends, but it was like, that doesn't seem as good as like people are saying. But like, Ryan and like you guys were trying to convince me. Well, maybe not use that because you haven't seen Legend of Korra yet. But
I watched season 1 and 2 now. I just have 3 and 4 left.
Yeah, but Ryan and co were like, hey, like Legend of Korra is actually good. It just doesn't have a strong finale. Like, all right, well,
I gotta see season 3.
The season 3 is the best season out of the entire series. 4 is the very controversial one.
Oof.
Understandable.
Yeah, I'll let you guys make your own opinions about it.
So how do you feel about it so far, Kevin?
I like it so far. It's nice that I started at the beginning. Like now that it's on Netflix, I have no excuse anymore.
Right.
But I like even though you know what, it's on Netflix, I'm gonna buy the Blu-ray set. So I bought the Blu-ray set with Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra. I just don't have my own personal Blu-ray player, so I still watch it on my phone or laptop.
Yeah.
But I do like it so far. It's a little, like I said, it's a little bumpy. The first 2 episodes for the pilot I think are really fantastic.
They're very strong.
I'm currently writing recaps right now for crprights.com that are releasing. I send it to them on a weekly basis. I should be having 3 of them like coming out, releasing what's the word?
Sequentially.
Sequentially or something like that. Within the next few days.
And you're doing like 2 or 3 episodes in one like article, right?
Yeah, now I'm averaging 4 episodes per recap.
Cool.
So it started off like, because when I first started, like I had like longer discussions with it, with each episode. But then it's like when we got to like filler episodes, that's just like, whatever.
What do you consider a filler episode so far, Kevin?
The Great Divide?
Obviously the Great Divide is a filler episode.
Okay, like, fair, yeah.
100%. It doesn't.
What do you mean? That's the best episode of the entire series.
Oh man, I love the ant bug things. And,
those are creepy. Those give me nightmares when I was a kid.
Dude, like I noted in my recap, it was like the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender is weird as hell. Like there's so many high concepts going on because like
Platypus duck.
you get platypus bear.
Yeah.
Like it's just like not only do you have the high concept of like you can control the 4 elements and each element can control like different variations of the element, like water can control fire, no, like fire can control lightning,
Right.
and I'm pretty sure like water controls blood, and all that stuff, and then like you have these spirits as well, that like just kind of like just show up, and there's a whole spirit world.
Yep.
And then you also have weird animals that are kind of like morphed beings of what animals we know.
The animals are just hybrids of real life. Yeah, that's all it is. It's like they aren't anything special. They're just like a platypus bear.
Yeah, or like these giant ant things, and or like a flying bison.
You gotta appreciate how much detail and work went into building in a world like that.
Oh heck yeah.
Yeah, there's like I'm trying to like look at it from like a writer's perspective of like is there any inconsistencies with the world building, but there's none so far that I can really point out, except for like just
there kind of is one in season 2.
Yeah,
when you meet like the Earth King and his pet.
Oh man.
But like it's kind of for a comedic bit and it's kind of funny. I'm cool with it.
Right.
If it's for comedy, I think that's fine. I'll give it a pass on that one. It's just like, it's weird, and like the whole existence of the spirit world on top of like the weird creatures and the controlling the elements. I feel like it's a little bit too much.
Yeah, that's how season 2 of Korra is.
Yeah, because I hear season 2 of Korra, or like just Korra in general, deals more with the spirit world.
Yeah.
Than Avatar.
Well, the argument for Korra was that because you already saw the journey of an Avatar, learning the 4 elements and having to protect the world. So with Korra, they were like, let's skip all that. She knows all the elements except the one you started off with in the first series. And then after that, you build on the rest of the lore of Avatar and more, like, I guess, combining the two different worlds, so spirit and the physical world, and also like it's more ideologies clashing in Legend of Korra. Like the first season has to deal with kind of like racism / classism, and then the second season is more religion. And the third season goes into like anarchy versus order, like what constitutes as a ruling power.
Yeah, I think I might really like Legend of Korra.
I got a feeling you'll like it more than Avatar.
Yeah, because like Avatar, it has really good elements.
It's cut and dry.
But yeah, it is very cut and dry. It's like there's a lot of things that happen in it where it's like where they quickly resolve the dramatic tension,
right?
That I think could have lasted for like a few episodes. There's like, I mean, obviously like the whole so what I constitute as a filler episode is like, does it advance the plot? Does it but put the characters into on their emotional journey further right. Their emotional journey of like how better understanding not only the world but also themselves. And there's like there's like a few episodes in season 1 that don't do that. Like with the one with it Boomy, when they go to the first Earth Kingdom, I was like, I think that's technically the first filler episode. I should have probably written down a list of the filler episodes.
That episodes actually becomes important later.
It comes back.
I figure that Boomy comes back.
There are 3 notes I want to point out.
Yeah.
2 of them relate to the differences between Korra and Avatar: Last Airbender. The one is I read somewhere where it's like Avatar: Last Airbender is like World War II. It's like good versus evil, light versus dark, like stuff like that.
Right.
And then Legend of Korra is more of a kind of like a Cold War era of where it's more like you see the advancements in technology and stuff like that. There's really not a good or bad. It's more of ideologies clashing. And then the other note about Korra versus Avatar I've seen is the story of Avatar is a human learning to become the Avatar. Legend of Korra is the Avatar learning to become human.
See, I'm always about learning to become more human.
Right.
So, and I can kind of see that because with Avatar, it is, I don't know, because I feel like with Legend of Korra, it might be more community-based, like protagonist too, whereas Avatar is very like much the chosen one narrative.
Yeah.
However, like they do give like the the supporting cast a nice spotlight. Like Zuko is a fantastic character.
Just you wait. Just you wait.
Sokka's a nice like comedic comic relief.
Just you wait.
I feel like Katara gets sidelined a lot though. Like she has her moments that are legitimately great,
Yes.
but then there's like a lot of episodes where she kind of just is just there.
Season 1 like is very more kid oriented. Like it's very like just staccato plot lines, where season 2 and season 3 start getting more into darker stuff. It starts becoming like a more tight knit plot as it
Yeah,
goes
I agree.
along. Where season 1 is like, here's our adventure of the day.
Hmm.
And I think once they get to like the water tribe in the north, like the Monster Paku episode, the Water Bending Master, that's where Katara really starts to shine. Obviously, where she's like,
Right.
"F the system and the patriarchy," and she goes off and just kicks his ass.
Right. Which I was like, that fight between Katara and the Waterbending Master, I think was fantastic and a real shift in tone for the series, because
Yeah,
I was noting that all the action before that episode was just the heroes nullifying or pacifying the threat. They're not attacking to be offensive or to take down the enemy, but more like
right.
they're taking a more pacifist route. Like Aang barely throws a punch
Mm-hmm.
or an attack. Like he's usually dodging attacks to turn the enemy's power against them.
Right. Yeah.
Like we know, notably with the Firebender general, destroying all the boats in that one episode where Aang learned to firebend.
There is a little more moral ambiguity in like the Blue Spirit episode with like Zuko, obviously,
Right.
and like he's doing it. He's probably the most like true character. He has his own motivations. He has his own goals.
Yes.
They don't align with anyone particularly other than his goals, which is very interesting to me.
Right. Yeah. No. Zuko is the most. The character with the most narrative drama going on.
Yes.
Because he knows what he wants. It's very clear what he needs. And it's very clear like how those wants and needs conflict not only internally but also externally.
Right.
With Aang, he's more of a virtuous character. He's the hero figure that other people aspire to be, but and he's just learning to master those virtues, to be to be a better person, even better person to those around him.
Right. Yeah.
And that's two kind of things. Like one, I know a lot of people talk about is that Zuko was a better character than Aang, only because Zuko had more character development than Aang. Like Aang kind of stays the same, or he grows as a person, but not he doesn't change his views or anything.
Right.
If I can interrupt real fast, you're right. He stays the same, but he doesn't really stay the same. He sticks to his beliefs, and that's who he is as a person and character. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He changes his viewpoint of the world, but his viewpoint of the world doesn't change his beliefs and whether or not he should be more offensive and like maybe kill a firebender or something like that. Like, no, he believes what he was taught when he was younger, and he sticks to that no matter what the circumstance is, and that's kind of what makes him a strong character.
Yeah, like I was saying, like he's a virtuous character that's learning to strengthen his virtues. It's like more like putting his virtues and beliefs to the test.
Right. Yeah.
And how strong Aang is to his cores, which is like what you do with a hero. That's the Superman story.
Yeah.
Like Superman learns to be a better person by mastering his own virtues and how he can use his strengths and fix his weaknesses to help to better the world and society. But going back around a little bit to when Katara fights Master Paku. So it's just the first time when Katara fights Master Paku. It's the first time in the series where the characters take the offensive foot forward. Katara actively tries to hurt Master Paku.
Right.
It's just a real tone shift that really helps like funnel in the drama of the show so far into that one moment, and I think they did that really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's more of showing what their character goals and what they want. They're like, no, like you're telling us, no, we need this. Like this is what we want. You're gonna teach me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's one other thing I want to point out. Well, I just kind of a little bit delve into Legend Korra again, but like Avatar focused more on building its like entire cast, and you kind of see him like in every character, whereas Korra kind of just focused more on Korra rather than other characters. So that's something I think Avatar did better, because it's not just Aang, it's not just Zuko. You see Katara's growth. You see, like I keep seeing posts of like, here's how they were at the beginning. You see like Katara holding like a small little rain umbrella, whereas in the season 3, like I don't want to spoil anything, but like she's way stronger than what she was from season
She
one.
buff.
She kicks some ass.
Yeah.
She ate those protein bars.
Right. Alrighty. Do you want to transition to what we're excited for?
Oh man, Zach, what are we excited for?
I don't know. That's the thing. Well,
COVID kind of canceled a lot of movies and everything, which
How?
I mean, I
COVID's
was
gonna
excited for
cancel
New
a lot
Mutants.
more stuff.
COVID is leading the charge on cancel culture.
Literally.
But yeah, dude. So like Tenet moved again for 2 weeks.
course it did.
So it's coming out in August. Surprise. So the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water. I'm not sure if you guys knew that movie's coming out. So that was recently announced that they were moving it to the early 2021. It's gonna be streaming exclusive.
Oh.
However, the junior novelization still released on its scheduled time, and I already ordered it. So I'm gonna read it, and I'm gonna see if the movie's good. See if the plot and story is good.
You should just sell the spoilers.
Just like create a Reddit account just to put the spoilers for the Sponge on the Run.
Hey kid, you want some SpongeBob spoilers?
Even though it's already based on an old episode of
Yeah.
SpongeBob.
But I firmly agree that we will never see New Mutants, Ryan. Going back to what you
Oh
said.
man.
Yeah, no, I was excited for it. Like I was like, oh, cool. This
I'm
looks
still
actually
excited for
good.
it.
It looks legitimately good.
Yeah.
Like out of all the trailers for X-Men movies I've seen, that's the one that's like more up my alley, because I'm just really into like young adult superheroes as a team.
Mhm.
And it just like takes a more darker tone, like with the psychology of having superpowers.
Yeah, because it's like they can't control them really.
Right. The cast is really cool too, and I'm really like interested in seeing it. However,
Mhm.
it was originally delayed for reshoots that never happened.
Right.
And then they got to a point where it's like the actors are too old to do reshoots without reshooting the entire movie. So they were going to release it, and then yeah,
And then Disney bought Fox, and now it's a whole big catastrophe.
because contractually they still it has to legally play in a theater.
Okay.
So they can't release it on video on demand or DVD or Blu-ray and all that stuff without it going to
sucks.
theater first.
They should just stream it, honestly.
But yeah, but like they have to follow an old contract, I think, and I think the people who made that contract, I think are kind of like not part of the process anymore, so it's kind of hard to get them back on to change it.
Okay.
I think it's
yeah.
just like it's a weird gray area that like they just have to do it, or else it's gonna like be
Right.
a risk for the company's PR.
Right.
And it's I just always think it's hilarious that they announced the date and then an hour later it got delayed again.
Speaking of movies that are delayed, will we ever see an Avatar 2 sequel? Not The Last Airbender, the James Cameron Blue People Avatar.
I think we'll see that before anything else.
I don't think we'll see that ever in my lifetime.
They're shooting in New Zealand, and New Zealand's COVID free.
I need to see a trailer or proof
Right.
of like some kind of finished product, because it has been, I think the first one came out in
2009.
2009.
Yep.
So it's been 11 years. I mean,
Yeah.
I get it. Like Last of Us Part 2 took 7 years to come out. Sure. Yeah. But like James Cameron's been a busy man in the depths of the ocean.
Frankly, I don't want to see Avatar 2 at all.
I mean, I don't even like the first one.
I don't care for it. They took the name Avatar, so The Last Airbender had to be called The Last Airbender.
Well,
Yeah.
man, good thing that one wasn't called Avatar either.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, no, like I think the only other thing I'm excited for, I know they released the trailer. They finally gave a release date for The Boys season 2.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it's coming out in September, so I'm excited
Heck
for
yeah.
it. Season 1 was phenomenal. I think season 2 is gonna just do as well.
I still need to watch The Boys, but it looks
Yes,
really
you
good. I've been
do.
hearing a lot of good things about it.
8 episodes of
That
greatness.
should be your next thing.
That's the next thing after Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah,
Legend of
honestly.
Korra? Nah. Boys.
Any closing statements, boys?
What should we force Ryan to watch?
Yeah, you guys still haven't chosen for something for me to watch.
That's a good question.
Nothing like super like long. I know Kevin mentioned Doctor Who once, but I'm like, that might take my entire lifetime.
It could take a while, but it's on HBO Max, so
That is a good one, actually. Not like the old ones. You just gotta start with the.
Well, okay. Am I watching like one set of the Doctor, or am I watching like?
so I mean I gotta look up what's on HBO Max. I think it's just the new series on HBO Max. I don't know if they have the classic episodes.
Okay.
We'll fill you in.
Yeah, we'll message you once I look up see what's available. But basically, like the first season that we start you off with is gonna be rough as hell.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh man,
That first episode, man.
I don't know. Oh Lord.
Christopher Eccleston. Oof.
Oh, I've watched Christopher Eccleston stuff. That one I enjoy.
You mean Malekith from Thor: The Dark World?
Yeah, I enjoyed his
Ugh.
his thing. He was in a.
Man, if you enjoyed his, then you're golden, I think.
Man, Ninth Doctor might be Ryan's favorite.
Huh?
Night of the Doctor. I'm trying to remember which episode.
No,
that
ninth.
Was.
Ninth. Number
Oh,
nine.
Ninth Doctor. Oh, I mean, like I can see it. He did great for the role. It's just like
He did.
the season overall was kind of oof.
But David Tennant, Matt Smith.
But David Tennant though, and Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi. I would argue Peter Capaldi is a great Doctor, but Stephen Moffat is a terrible showrunner.
Fair.
But then the current Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, is fantastic. I think.
I have not watched the last series with Peter Capaldi.
I have not seen season 10 either. I kind
Yeah.
of just skipped it. I'm going straight to Jodie Whittaker.
Yeah, I need to.
Season 11 was great. I haven't seen season 12 yet, but I'm sure I'm not sure if it's on HBO Max yet. I think it will be soon.
Sweet.
But
Alrighty.
so Ryan, how do you feel about us forcing you to watch Doctor Who? Because I think it's only 13 episodes each season too.
They're like an hour long though, but yeah.
I can try. I tried it once, like back in high school, and I stopped after like I got almost done with the Ninth Doctor, so I can try it again.
Okay, we can work with that. You want to take us out, Kevin?
I'm gonna take us out. So Ryan, you're watching Doctor Who. We'll message you what season to start with. It's on HBO Max. Anyways, thank you guys for listening to Committed Critics. We are on Twitter, by the way, so you can follow us there. We are at Committed Crits, COMMITTED CRITS, and we are also on Patreon, link in the description. So be sure to give us a little bit of money there. Only $1 a month can change the world, or at least our world. We are looking for a goal of $10 a month to cover the cost of Podbean, so we can be available to stream on your favorite service. But until 2 weeks from now, see you then.
Goodbye.
Later.
Bye.